Good morning. I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing very well.
Well, good. I am so happy to be here today with Miss Rowena Abbensetts Dotson, writer, author, speaker, mental health advocate, entrepreneur, and most important, mom. She is the founder and editor-in-chief of Spoken Black Girl Publishing. And I am just really excited to talk to you today because tomorrow, I am hosting an all women's event. We've got over
Oh,
350 women registered, and the theme of the event is Be the Healing. And it's a free community event where women from all over will come together to participate in workshops focused on their minds, their bodies, and their souls. So I'm really excited to speak to you today
yeah.
and hear your thoughts. But before we get started, Miss Rowena, just uh, tell us a little bit about you and how you came into this work.
Sure. So let's see. I'm from Jamaica, Queens, New York. Okay. I'm an Afro-Caribbean writer and author. And I guess like I was always really, really drawn to books and writing, and I always wanted to write my own book. And another journey that I was going on kind of parallel to the author journey was mental health journey. As a teen, I was diagnosed with anxiety and depression. So I started getting really curious about mental health.
Mhm.
And it led me down this road where I discovered more about holistic wellness and just, treating wellness not only as like one segmented part of your life, like I'm just looking at my mental health, I'm just looking at my physical health, but looking at it in a, holistic way, mind, body, spirit, everything. So, that kicked off my journey and I started writing about it. Um, I was always like into kind of digital media and things like that. When I was in high school, that was when MySpace and all of these old websites that don't exist anymore were coming up, and we were all kind of getting these elementary lessons in web design and things like that. I started taking digital media courses, even like, as a teenager. So um, it just all like who knew that it would lead to, today's landscape? Like, now when people say, oh, you're a content creator or something, and I'm like, what? Because that is
Yeah, we've
not
got
what
the
I
language. Yeah, we've got the
exactly.
language for it now. But then you were just kind of writing and journaling and doing it for self-care and to
Yeah.
address the challenges that you went through. I think the timing is so incredible. At this point in this country, like you said, we've got digital, we've got access to podcasts and all different types of media. But for our community, still hearing Black women share their stories is critically important. Um,
Yes.
can you talk about that? It sounds like it started because it was your personal journey, and then at some point you decided it would be helpful to share your journey with others.
Yes. So let's see, it must have been 2016. I had been doing this blog. It was the longest I ever continued a blog. I had a few false starts, but then I had Spoken Black Girl and I started consistently meeting people who also loved reading and books and people who were looking for, stories that would mirror their own experiences as
Yeah.
well. So I kept meeting all these people that I'm like, hey, I have this digital space. I started publishing other people's work and because back in the day doing guest posts and guest blogs and things like that was really big. And then in 2018, we just had the idea. I mean, I had the idea and I had a couple of ladies in my literary circle who were just like, what if we put this together as a magazine and printed it? One young lady had done a collage that we turned into the cover, and then, we just gathered stories and put it together in the first magazine. And since then, we've repeated that about 5 times.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I actually have a magazine that I will show you. I'll let you comment on that while I grab this.
Yeah, that'd be great. That would really be great. This idea, and you didn't say this, so I don't want to put words in your mouth, but this idea of storytelling, journaling, uh, telling our stories from our lens and our vantage point. Again, today it's a very, I won't say common conversation, but you hear there's more interest. There's some interest in that. There are even publishers seeking out women of color or Black voices or those unique voices. Um, can you talk about does your business focus in any particular genre or any particular areas? Or how do you determine what stories you want to bring forward?
Sure. So mental health awareness is huge for me. So I love stories of healing, stories of how you went through something, but you came through, and how it changed you.
Mhm.
Definitely as a woman, I feel like for so many young women, especially young Black women, we are lacking a guide. We're lacking someone telling us a lot of fundamental wisdom about living this life as a Black woman.
Yeah.
And so that is what I hope to achieve, when I'm publishing things, is another person reads this and is like, huh, this resonates with me. This reminds
Mhm.
me of my experience in particular. And that's why another reason that I started publishing other people was because I realized that even I have a very particular viewpoint and a very particular voice. Like I said,
Yeah.
I'm Afro-Caribbean. So I'm like, well, I can't, although I grew up in America, in Brooklyn and New York, like I've always been halfway between Afro-Caribbean and African American,
Yeah.
and walking that line. So I'm like, I want people to write on that experience. I want people, and we've also had, like, through issues, like we had one issue called Diaspora, and it was really bringing in Black voices from all over the world. And I feel like that has been one of the hallmarks of Spoken Black Girl, is that we are international, we are diverse. Like there's diversity within Black women writers. Like a lot of people just put any old, not any old Black woman, but they'll
Not
just be
any
like, look,
old.
it's a Black woman writer,
It's a Black woman. Yeah.
diversity.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, even within the realm of Black women writers, we are so multifaceted. We have so much range. So I try to display that. So this is our latest magazine.
Oh, it's beautiful. I think I saw that on your website. Is it featured?
Yes.
I think I saw that on your website. It's absolutely
It's
beautiful.
a thick one. So this one is
Uh-huh.
like a book. This one literally
Yes.
is a book, but it's a
Oh, it is
very
a book.
beautiful book. Um, there's we definitely have the graphic and
Wow.
photographic element. There's a lot of artists in here. Let me see if I can.
Now
Artists, photographers.
you call it a magazine. That does look like a book. So my question would be, how is that distributed? How much does it cost? Can it be just downloaded from your website? Tell me all the things.
This is an artist that
Beautiful.
more art. So we
Uh-huh.
definitely so let's see, it's on Amazon. You can order a copy on Amazon. You can order on the website. It definitely helps. We are trying to stock up on as many as we can to
Uh-huh.
continue distributing as many as we can. So, those are two things that definitely help support the magazine. Also, everyone's open to donate. There's a donation button on the website, and that all goes towards creating and printing publications and then also paying Black women writers
Yeah.
so that we can continue to publish their work and also give back because, like I said, especially like this edition is the motherhood edition.
Mhm.
And um, these are mothers. So this is a straight up community effort and you know, this is community care in a lot of ways. That's how I've been thinking about it over the year is like, what can I give back to other mothers? Um, and this has been a beautiful way to give back. So,
Yeah, it's absolutely beautiful.
thank
My
you.
question to you is, does it come out, how often is your magazine put out? Is it quarterly or monthly or annually?
Right now we are at annual, just for my own work-life
Sure.
balance
I get
sake.
it. I get it. Yeah.
And but I am thinking about, maybe doing shorter editions that are like that we can do biannually or something like that. But right now, it takes a lot of oomph to keep going with the magazine. And of course, there's a whole editorial process. There's a whole the design and getting all of these specifications. Publishing is like so technical, so I deal with all of the boring stuff, and just give the beautiful product.
Yeah.
So, um, yeah, that's where we're at right now.
Rowana, or do you have access to, or are you involved in any traditional news outlets where people can hear your voice and hear the work that you're writing or the book that you've written?
We have been very blessed. I've been very blessed with some great opportunities. Last year we were on New York One, Spectrum New York One, and we were able to collaborate with a Dawn bookstore and did this beautiful interview, had one of our contributors come in and read a poem, and that was on the news. Um, I think I was on like News 12 one time. We've been in newspapers and other magazines. So it has been a real blessing. And I hope to continue and keep going. Of course, like, the more exposure, the better.
Well, it's so important. And one of the things that you said that I really hadn't thought about. So we know that Black women are different, and
Yeah.
we know that we have different viewpoints and different perspectives. We all have different experiences, and oftentimes the media, the news, they lump us into one category. But something that you said that I think is really kind of interesting to me is this international view of the Black woman, right? So on the continent, in other places, in other countries, I think it kind of blows your mind to think about cultural differences that we are not even aware of. We've bought
Mhm.
into that stereotype as well, that
Mhm.
there's a certain Black woman voice. Can you talk a
Mhm.
little bit about that and how you found some success in cracking that perspective?
Sure. I would say that it really came from my own personal journey as a writer because I came from, the idea of publishing and discovering what that really meant in terms of like what this industry in the United States wanted from my voice. And at least with my first book, I felt like it was not resonating just because I wasn't telling the story that they want to tell of
Backstory.
Black women. Exactly. And I wanted to tell a different kind of story. And, God is good. God, works in beautiful ways. In what was it, 2021? We were able to win a grant, like a $10,000 artist grant. So I had been in the process of like, looking at different publishing options for my book. and I was getting sometimes like straight up, I would consider racist feedback from agents and I'm also someone that had worked with literary agents and at literary agencies. Like that was what I did out of college. So I was like, I know just from working in the office and seeing the queries come in and who and how various authors are treated, I was like, I don't know. Spiritually, this is my life's work. I don't know if I want it like in these kind of hands and under these influences. Now, that is not to say that that is every traditional publishing experience.
Yeah,
And I, you know, do hope and believe that publishing is changing and the landscape is changing. But um, for me, once I won that grant, I was like, woo, this is all
oh
I
yeah,
need. Like, yes, creative
yeah,
freedom. I am
yeah,
going to own, my own work and my own voice. I was able to work with an editor, to, get it up to a professional standard. A lot of times when people are reading my book, they're like, it doesn't get that stigma of the self-publish, which I think is something that I'm
yeah,
trying to eliminate, because I really believe that, we're at a time where you can have a very beautifully, very professionally well done book that you own. Um, and I feel like that's so to go back to the different voices of Black women, I think opening up all pathways of
mhm,
publishing more, and destigmatizing self-publishing, because it's like, why, especially for like Black people and marginalized people, it's like, why are you waiting on permission? I feel like we wait on permission so much,
much. Yeah, yeah.
and sometimes people are not worthy of our work, like, or
Mhm.
not treating us with the respect that we deserve. So
Amen. You know,
yes.
I say that all the time with lots of things, education, just lots of things. It's 2024. We have experts at every level of every industry,
Yes.
decision-making power. We have finances. And it amazes me how much energy we continue to spend. And I'm not saying there shouldn't always be somebody poking the door. I get it. If you want to break
Mm-hmm.
it open for hundreds of millions of people, I get it. The system,
Yes.
you got to figure that out. But it amazes me how much time and energy so many of us spend trying to get folks to accept us, include us, consider us when we could just
Mm.
put our things together and have our own. It still blows my mind.
Yes, yes, yes. You are preaching. And I like definitely in publishing, I feel like there are so many of us that want the same things, and I really want to see more collaboration in
Yeah,
that space. I feel
yeah,
like that we have so many podcasts, so many individual
yeah, yeah,
entities. I'm actually working on an event next year in Atlanta that I'm really hoping to bring together more of these individual entities, because I'm just like, I feel like we all want a lot of the same things, but we also have to be willing to invest in our voices and invest in publishing and Black owned publishing and Black women owned publishing,
yeah.
and find a way to circulate with that, like
Mhm.
my good friend Christy, um, introduced me to you, and that's how I became aware of your fabulous platform. I was extremely impressed and honored to be invited. But um, yeah, we need more of us coming together.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's too hard. It's too hard. And there's still so many voices that we don't hear. Um, and not only do we need more of our voices, we need a way to, that this term Black excellence that is thrown around so much, I really do believe it is starting to get thrown around. And unfortunately, the noise around
Mm,
that oftentimes keeps out high quality voices and people who have really done the hard work. We have
mm,
gotten to where anybody can get on a podcast, anybody can get on, and they can say anything. And
mhm,
unfortunately, in my opinion, it all matters for our community.
mm.
We're at a time where we really need some solid voices,
Yeah,
helping us get where we need to be.
definitely. I
Ro
agree.
Rowana, I was going to ask you a question. I read on you have two websites that I was able to find.
Okay.
One, I believe it was your author as an
Yeah,
author role, and you talk about yourself as a publisher. And then the other is the magazine, where you really, it's more of a public platform for Black women health workshops and all things self-care.
yeah.
Can you talk a little bit? Do you have a feeling about first of all, how long have you been doing this work? How long have you been in the Black woman, not your individual space, but once you opened it up to talk to
Mm.
other Black women on these topics of self-care?
Let me see. So I would say since 2018. So
Okay,
what's
so for
that? Yeah.
so my question to you is, what's that common thread since 2018 to 2024? What are we saying? What are we saying in this space?
Hmm. I think that a lot of Black women are having realizations about how important it is to take care of our mental health.
Mm,
And the realizations come through various experiences. Um, and I try to capture that, like for example, with motherhood, a lot of I was at the age where a lot of my friends were becoming mothers. I was one of the first of my friends to be a mom. And I saw, wow, for women, this will do a doozy on your mental health in several different ways.
yeah,
Um, so I try to capture, the moment or whatever I feel like people are feeling. I also think that, you know, as we examine ourselves, we are getting so much better at articulating what works for us and self-care. And I've seen that just grow exponentially. But at the same time, do I think the world is ready? I don't think I still see us hitting so many barriers that it's like now we know how to get ourselves together, but there's still so many systematic barriers um, that we're bumping against.
yeah,
But that's where, going back to the last question is I feel like we have to create our own ecosystems. And that's one of the things that I'm most proud of about Spoken Black Girl is that I have been able to connect with Black women from like so many different backgrounds, so many different professional expertise, and bring them together in like one network.
mhm,
And it's really beautiful whenever we have like some kind of an initiative going on, like so many different people pour in different ways or however they can. And like, honestly, I did not expect to be like, some kind of inspirational figure. That wasn't like what I was going for, but it's like very
yeah,
inspiring to see.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because we don't. You know, we take so much for granted, but we don't see Black women in a significant way. One of the things I just had a conversation about this. There, I just had a conversation about this a couple of days ago, and this morning, as I scrolled on Facebook, I saw another image. But just the images that we see of Black women in the mass media. So not what we curate for ourselves, but the images that you see in the mass media are very they're not attractive. And the one that I saw today was a photo of a Black man. So these two individuals were laying on a bed. Black man was behind this very, very, very light-skinned woman. The woman was probably 3 times his size, so he was significantly smaller than her. But the visual was of him just cradling her. But the image was of this very, very light, possibly white woman that this black man was cradling. And these
Mm.
images are everywhere, of
Mm.
of black men choosing white women, light women, this whole
Hmm.
colorism. And I don't have a problem with that. The problem I have is that that's the image that is the mass image. And so
Hmm.
as young girls are growing up, that's the image that they see. As boys are growing up, those are the images that they see. Can you
Yeah.
talk at all about just kind of the images, the messaging that we experience in the United States?
Sure. Yes. I do think there are certain things that I don't like to see. One is definitely Black women being over sexualized and hypersexualized. I think that's a big problem that we have. Then the colorism discussion is always ongoing. And I think you're absolutely right. I mean, when we think about media, a lot of media is paid media. A lot of media is coming from these bigger outlets, and they have an agenda in making the public feel a certain way. And if you think about how much has been profited off of Black women feeling insecure, Black women feeling that they are not enough, there are powers that be that are interested in us feeling down about ourselves. And I feel like that's why one of the things that I try to do with Spoken Black Girl is like have a variety of different images, different shades, different sizes of women, different ages. We have like our writers are, all different ages and everything. So it's like, um, I try my best to counteract that. But of course, like,
Yeah.
as a growing company, I'm like a drop in the ocean. Um, I think and that's another reason why I'm such a big advocate of um books and literature, especially for kids, that, promotes a healthy image. I know for my daughter, we have so many books that are like, this Black girl princess with her, you know, her Afro puffs and being proud and, different things about self-esteem for our kids. Because if we don't make it, okay, then somebody else is making it, and you can't always necessarily trust that message.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I feel like that's the big call that a lot of Black creators are responding to. Hopefully, like some of us, but as you said, we are not the voices that get amplified, like me doing my, affirmations, that's not exactly what they want to go viral. So
Yeah, so we just have to keep doing the work, because I think the work that you're doing is absolutely important and critical at this time. And technology allows us, I'm in Kansas City, Missouri, you're in New York, it allows us, and with Cascade Media's platform, it is across the country. So it
yeah,
allows us to hear the different voices and the different perspectives. And most importantly for me, to know it's possible, to know that you can put a magazine together that shows the
yes,
stories and the images that you want portrayed. I think that's key.
yes, it's extremely powerful. Like, that's one of the things I love the most about working in publishing, or, having created my own lane for
Yeah.
in my own definition for how I want to experience publishing, as a safe space as a Black woman, um, is that it is so powerful when you are able to put your ideas like into a physical form of any kind. I'm in admiration of that. So, this is one of my art forms.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, I appreciate your time today. I want to make sure we leave our guests with both of your websites so they can go and take a look at those. So if you would share those
Sure.
websites, the ways that we can get in touch with you, and also ways that we can support your work through purchasing your magazine.
Sure. So you can visit spokenblackgirl.com, and the magazines are for sale on spokenblackgirl.com. And issue 5 is also on Amazon, so you can check it out on Amazon. My book, Departure Story, a novel. It's a great read, or so they say, you know. I was just at a comedy show where they were discussing my book, and they described it as cozy. Okay, so if
Very
you like
nice.
a cozy read, um, you can check out Departure Story, and that's again on spokenblackgirl.com, and it's also on Amazon. So, yeah, that's the best way
Well,
to support an author is to buy the books, buy the publications, and share and tell a friend. Yeah.
thank you so much. That's fantastic. Rowana Abbensetts Dobson, Spoken Black
Yes.
Girl. Thank you so much
Yes.
for being on Cascade Media. We appreciate your time, and we will continue to uplift the voices of Black girls and women.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
This is brought to you by Kansas City Business Association, working to improve our community.